Good morning, guys. Hope you're doing well. Today I want to talk about the question how small businesses can retain employees. The other day someone asked me the following. I run a small business, but I find it hard to keep employees here long term. Do you have any thoughts on how I can do a better job with retention? So I have 3 pieces of advice. The first is ask yourself, what are the pros of working in small business / startup environment? Like, why do people like working in these environments? And then, so that's A, and then B is, then ask yourself, is my organization maintaining those values? So for A, you might sit down and write, a list of pros for small business environment. You could also research through, maybe just Googling. But basically, I'll give 3 examples that came to mind of pros. The first is, people don't feel like a cog in the system working in a startup or small business environment. People feel like they matter and their impact / work matters. This contrasts, to bigger business where they may just feel like a cog in the system, one of 20,000, they don't really matter. Another pro for small business is that they tend to be less bureaucratic and run faster. So one of the biggest complaints working in big corporate environments is everything's very bureaucratic. It needs approval from multiple layers above you, so the organization runs slowly. Third pro of small business / startup environment is employees have the opportunity to gain more responsibility. In bigger companies, for example, your role might be set in stone and it's that limited thing. Like, you might be a digital marketing strategist and that's all you do, whereas in a small business environment you may be helping with the marketing and the sales and the operations, and you have more responsibility. So the B part of that is, once you do have that list, however you obtain come about making that list, is your organization doing a good job with those above values? I think you need to reflect on that. And if it's yes, then continue to do what you're doing. If not, or you can see places where there needs to be improvement, how can you change and make those improvements? Second piece of advice I would say is do the things all companies should do in terms of retaining employees. This is pretty obvious advice, but sometimes employee retention doesn't come down to whether we're a small business or a big business. It comes down to, are you doing the basic general things to retain employees and make them feel good? So example questions you may want to reflect on. Does the organization have good corporate culture and actually live based on those values? Do supervisors / managers do check-ins, evaluations every so often, and communicate with employees what they're doing well, what they're not? Do supervisors, managers ask employees what their hopes and desires are and check in with what's important to them? I think this is really a big one. Purpose is such an important thing for all of us as human beings, and you'd be surprised, but a lot of the research in business is going towards, employees are contemplating what their internal purpose is and what their motivation is, and does the company help them with that? So talking through those things, seeing what their internal drivers are and how you fit within that. And then, beyond the intrinsic, obviously there's the practical of the financial and benefits portion. Again, every person's different. Someone might want a percentage increase in rate of salary every year. Someone might want I want my hours to be within this and this, so I can always, be with my family 6 to 10 or whatever. And I think first, as the founder or the owner, you need to ask your employees what those are, and then you need to do your job in trying to make sure that they can get what they want. The third thing I would say is, what can you offer that big businesses can't? Right? Many things in life come down to leverage. Understanding your strengths and weaknesses and positioning yourself where there are more strengths, that's your job in life. And so, every small business is different in terms of ownership structure and things of that nature. But can you offer profit sharing? Can you offer equity? Can you give a higher rate of pay increase than a bigger business would? Or can you give more responsibility, or whatever it is? I think there are advantages to small businesses / startup environments, and really hone in on those. And I think, if you do all three of these pieces of advice, I think you'll be able to retain employees longer. Hope these help. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I'd love to hear some feedback. Otherwise, thank you. Thank you for watching.